Welcome back to the Evolution podcast, where we're meeting with owners of coaching and training small and medium businesses to discuss evolving their business and client impact in the era of AI. Today, we're super fortunate to have Dr. Michele Vecchione with us. Michele is an author, has a PhD in conflict resolution and dispute analysis, and is the founder of Vecc and Associates, where over the last 16 years, she's built a leading mental health coaching practice for first responders out in Florida. Dr. Vecchione, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, it would be great to hear a little bit more about you and exactly what your business does.
Thank you so much, Ethan, for having me. I really do appreciate the invite and the opportunity to talk a little bit about what I do and about my business and about what we're trying to do for our local communities and municipalities and clients individually and maritally and families and organizations. So I've been in private practice for about 12, 13 years. I've been in a mental health field for a very long time, at first working in community mental health centers and then switching over to private practice. And I'm just starting in the last 5 years to develop a group practice where I'm teaching and training clinicians clinical techniques and skills and strategies on how to counsel, starting off with registered interns, getting them to get licensed, and then staying with the practice. I have a whole team of people. I have a virtual assistant, I have a social media manager, I have a licensed clinician, and we just hired a registered intern. So we're really, really excited at Vecc and Associates to start expanding and helping as many people as possible.
That's fantastic. Yeah, great to hear that you guys are on a growth trajectory. That's the type of people that we love to bring on. And so that brings us right into today's episode, which is going to be reclaiming the bandwidth to break into new markets with AI. And now, Michele, we have you here, of course, because you're undergoing a phase right now where you're transitioning from the current market that you've been serving, which is first responders, into thinking about some new parts of municipalities to serve, such as police departments. And so you're in this interesting phase where you're trying to undergo a transition, but also there's a bandwidth issue. And I know you're looking to bring on new people, you're looking to get more efficient with yourself, and all of that is so challenging as a founder and operator simultaneously. So I guess to jump right into our first question here, I'm curious what you found unique about the process behind serving first responders. And I think that, there's so many different types of mental health coaching, mental health therapy that's done out there, and it's a unique market you're serving. So curious what you think is unique about your process of going about serving them and reaching out to these customers.
I mean, I feel my niche is like, and this kind of developed during COVID, like me serving people that serve other people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like I'm helping other people that help other people. And law enforcement and firefighters are definitely top of my priority list, as well as nurses and counselors as well. I serve some counselors. But law enforcement and firefighters are particularly very interesting because of what they see and because of what they've been through that most of the human eye doesn't see. It's challenging for them to trust anyone really, except their colleagues or their comrades. So it's hard to kind of get your foot into a door with the municipality and have law enforcement and firefighters trust you. So I make sure that when I do get my foot into the door, I'm obviously, I want to present myself extremely professional and showcase my knowledge and exposure, being seen more, so I am being trusted more. So for instance, I work for a municipality where I go about twice a year to their department, and I bring back breakfast and coffee, or I bring lunch. And the reason why, and then I do like a little presentation, and the reason why I do that is because they become familiar with me. And when you become familiar with somebody, you start to see them more, and they're consistent, you start to trust them more. And so I found that trusting, having law enforcement and firefighters trust you is pivotal, especially with the work that they do and how they help the community.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And something that came out of there that I wanted to pry a little deeper on, when you said that you work with them through the municipality, does that mean that the municipality is who has you like employed and is paying you? Or is it that you establish the connection directly with that respective fire department?
It's both. It's both.
Okay.
It's both. Word spreads, and I get contacted and develop a relationship and meet people and introduce myself and start sharing how I could be of service to their city and what are their needs, doing kind of like an informal needs assessment of the city's needs with administration and captains and chiefs, and then develop some sort of, then they make decisions based on what they feel, which takes time, and government takes time, and then they come back to me and we have a fluid conversation.
Gotcha. So when you're doing your approach, it's much more like inside out, right? You maybe start with one branch of a municipality and then you build up your trust there, and then that's a way to segue business from
I
one
mean,
part to another.
yeah, I think word of mouth is a big proponent when it comes to municipalities and law enforcement and firefighters, and families that have law enforcement in them. It's a big proponent. Is like having people talk, and
Gotcha.
if you have a good reputation, people will talk to you in a highly favorable way.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And often like the ability to transfer that reputation, right, requires having a network where the reputation is transferring for you, not necessarily you just going out and trying to express your reputation to people who don't have a reason to believe it. It's the
The
interlocking of
proof,
trust is really
yeah,
important.
the proof is in the pudding. I mean, talk. I'm not a salesman. I can do a couple of things where I can have an authentic conversation. I'm not looking to sell my services. I'm looking for people to want to get the services. So I'm not a salesman, but the proof is definitely in the pudding. When they enter into a counseling dynamic, what you can actually do in a session.
Yeah.
A skilled counselor.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And so you mentioned to me during our last call, you're looking to really break more into the police officer side. I guess, what do you think is going to be different about the nature of the outreach and the nature of going through this new channel to find customers? Because you're already in these municipalities and serving different branches of them. What particularly makes reaching law enforcement more challenging, or just requiring a different approach, even if it's not necessarily more challenging?
I think approaching it differently by doing different things therapeutically, whether it be a training or some sort of seminars or some sort of intensive, like an intensive therapy session is like an all day therapy session where it's like 5 hours of therapy in one day, and you hit all the points in the therapeutic session in one day for the police officer, for the municipalities. I wanted to do this because I think it's important, and their services are important. But I also because I'm growing systemically within the business and hiring more clinicians, my caseload actually has to be less in order for me to do more community outreach. So that's a tricky situation when you've been with a client for a while and your role as a business owner is no longer lead clinician. You are transitioning. And having those, transfer conversations can be very challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of two things, right? Like one step at a time on going through the process of gradually shifting people and building trust, and almost serving as a proxy to build a relationship with somebody else that you trust and know can deliver on your model and provide similar services that you do to meet the brand that you've built. But then the other side of it is that you need to free up some of the time for yourself, right? So if you're dedicating 80% of your time just towards building the business, when the 20% is the work that you're most passionate about, right? That's a concern, and something that I'm sure you're
Yes.
looking to flush out. But obviously, in the initial phase of trying to break into a new market and acquire more clients, that balance is going to shift towards the business side, for better or worse. So it's certainly
Right.
something that's challenging to navigate.
It
And yeah, I
is.
guess,
It is, and I'm really kind of looking forward to making some of this transition happen so I can free up a little bit more time so I can do community outreach.
yeah. Let's dive right into that a little bit deeper. So I know that like before this go to market, you really want to grow and bring more hands on deck. Curious what has been the hardest for you as it's come to hiring and really going about executing on this vision to bring in more people to free up time.
It's really finding a quality clinician for me, and I started the search in February, and I just recently made an offer. I'm making an offer. So it's finding the quality person and integrating an interviewing process that makes sense. And because of the nature of the business, there's a huge liability when you do not hire the right person for me as a business owner. So what I do is the first phase of the interview process is a screening, which is me and the potential client, potential candidate, and it's just me asking some basic therapeutic questions, getting to know their therapeutic style and approach and modality, as well as getting to know them a little bit more. The second one is an in-office, in-person interview, which my licensed clinician does. She does that interview, and I'm in the background just watching the interaction because the licensed clinician is going to be doing most of the training for the registered intern. And then the third interview is a mock interview, a mock session, actually, a 50-minute mock session where the licensed clinician acts as a client, and where the therapist has a fake scenario, a mock scenario, and she has to act as the therapist. And we just got done doing that. It's 50 minutes long. And then afterwards, we did kind of a synopsis of the integrated approach. So it's a very thorough process. Most people don't get past the first screening, because I have to have a good vibe and a feeling for what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling instinctively. So we've gotten so far to this process, and the mock interview that we just did was just simply amazing. And it's very exciting to see that come like full circle with working so hard to find a candidate that really fits the needs of my business.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm so happy for you. I think last we called, it was still potentially underway. I don't remember you saying that. I know that you had your sights on somebody and were optimistic. Yes. With the last that I heard. Okay, so congratulations. And so I guess after this person gets brought onto the team, are you gonna, you've now got some bandwidth that frees up, obviously, with them being on the team. Does that give you the runway that you need to start your go-to-market process?
Yeah, well, what it will do is once she gets her certificate, we'll onboard her. We'll get her with her email. We'll get her a caseload, and we'll get her trained in what we call Simple Practice, which is a platform that we use therapeutically for our clients and our video and electronic records, and get her situated until she gets her registered intern certificate. And once she gets that certificate, she has to frame it and post it into the office, and then she can start seeing clients.
Wow. Okay, great. And then, so are you planning on getting more people, or I can't remember if during our call we discussed that you just needed one really great person, or if it was a multi-person onboarding for current upgrade?
It depends right now on how many people are coming through our doors. Right now, I'm just starting off with a registered intern. I'm trying to get her filled up, making sure she has a high retention rate. And then we'll see what happens thereafter. I might think about if she does well and she's thriving, and the licensed clinician's thriving, I might hire another licensed clinician.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
We'll see.
I hope you get to the point where you're so busy and the retention rates for the intern are so high that you do need to do that, even though it's a long and enduring process. I guess my next question becomes, so we've got the fact that another intern clinician is coming in and taking some of that load off of your plate and freeing up some bandwidth, right? But I guess I'm curious still, as somebody who's really passionate about delivering the value directly to clients, doing the coaching work with them, what % of the work that you do is actually delivery? And how has that changed over the last year as you've gotten busier?
Delivery to clients or clinicians?
Delivery to your clients, like you as the practitioner.
It's been majority. It's been majority of me delivering.
Good.
Like I said, just recently I just started becoming more integrated into a group practice. So the volume has gotten so much where I couldn't handle the clientele. I was busting at the seams, so I needed to hire. And I hired, I would say, 2 people that, you learn as you go what to look for. And I learned, and I've gotten proficient in how to interview and what to look for in a good clinician. But with that, I'm doing a lot of the counseling still. So it's not just the CEO and business owner, but it's also head clinician, which is a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where you want to be, right? Like being the
No,
practitioner.
no, that's not where that's not where I want to be. I like to be less clinical, more
Interesting.
more outreach, and more training of the clinicians.
Okay. My understanding was that it was getting to a point where the business was like growing so much that you were spending so much and you're wanting it to grow, that you're spending a lot of time on managing the relationships, and it was starting to cut into your time on the delivery. But you do want to make a shift to kind of transfer some of the delivery, it sounds like.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of hiring. Yeah, because yeah, that's the whole point of hiring is that I can't logistically. It's very hard for me to be the head lead clinician and to be CEO of the company. I have to give up some control, which is a
Yeah.
psychological thing that I have to do.
Definitely a challenge. Definitely a challenge.
So it's like easing in my clients and getting them comfortable with the transfer. And that may take a few sessions, but offsetting some of my caseload onto the other clinicians so I can free up a little bit. Time needs to be on my side.
Gotcha. Yeah, totally agree. So I guess adjusting that question now that I'm understanding the situation a little bit better. So I guess you've got your time doing client delivery, which there's still going to be needs there, and your effort there is dedicated towards shifting those client needs onto the new people that you're hiring, of course. And then your other priority is training those people and making sure that they're capable of taking on that bandwidth as you transfer it to them. And then you said that the other thing you really want to be focusing on is just growing the business, right? And spending your time
Yes.
getting clients. Is there anything else that you feel I guess, two-parted question. Is there anything else that you feel like your time is going towards that's taking away from these new priorities? And then if not, within the client acquisition side, what is really eating up your time and feeling monotonous and maybe less valuable than what you're really trying to do and achieve?
I mean, everything. I feel like everything that I do within a counseling hemisphere is extremely valuable. I think any clinician that goes in not feeling that they're providing valuable services needs to kind of question themselves as a therapist. So I think what I'm doing is what I'm doing and what my therapists are doing are very valuable. I think it can be used differently in the business, and the business is changing, and insurances are changing. And I think it can be used differently in the private practice. It could be used by really training and leveling up the therapists that are there. I can case study some of the clients that they may have challenges with and help them therapeutically with an approach. I think I can offset some of my clients to feel that if I entrust a clinician, then they should feel trusted and they have added support by the whole entire practice, not just by the clinician that they're getting transferred to, but myself as well. So they have a whole team approach, the client does. So they're not being left just feeling like they're being handed off, like I'm still there. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm just going to be used in a different capacity as more of a CEO. And then what I would do with the time that is alleviated, I would go to different events, business events, networking events, pass out my cards, maybe start engaging in more podcasts, interviews, more speaking engagements. Practicing my public speaking, doing more content on social media. There's a whole plethora of things that could be done to be more visible.
Yeah, you said you have a marketing manager that's helping out on that side, right?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, you want to bring on a marketing manager.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. I wonder for your target market if it's more about just getting in touch with the people and getting on a call rather than like reaching them through a social media approach. That's definitely something like worth considering how to allocate your time and resources towards, because like a police officer going online and seeing like a marketing campaign versus getting in touch with like the municipality through an event where you're able to be in person connecting with people. It's like, it's definitely a very different client acquisition pipeline, and one that has to be considered pretty strongly. So I guess I'm curious how, as you're thinking about really diving in on the client acquisition side and focusing on the business growth, getting in front of these new people, how are you going about kind of analyzing all the opportunities out there, right? Because there's a plethora, right? It's like, do you stay in Florida? Do you grow inside out? Do you consider the fact that there's municipalities all over the country that, since you've built a great reputation, you might be able to appeal to? In some perfect world, you have almost like a ranking system of the things to go after that are the most high expected value. How have you been considering that approach?
Yeah, I mean that's a macro problem to want to have, you know. I mean, I feel like for a long time I've been working in a micro level situation, trying to break through into a macro level situation. The sky's the limit, you know. I mean, the opportunities are endless, you know, and I'm more open, negating my own fear of, you know, just having just some fear of like possibilities and new opportunities that just come up, you know, when you're going to try to do new things, and trying to negate your own fears and being more open and receptive to opportunities that arise, and being open to at least hearing what other people have to say and engaging in the conversation, being a part of the conversation. For instance, I'll give you an example. I have a therapist that I've known for a while ago. She recently moved to Sarasota, and she put me in contact with a person who wants to do some consulting with me. She saw the book that I wrote, and so she wants to do some consulting with me. And so I have a meeting with her today to talk a little bit about, it's like stuff like that. Doors start to open, and if you don't walk through some of these doors, you never know what could be happening on the other side of it. And a lot of times fear and hesitation prevents us from going macro, you know.
Yeah.
But my mindset lately is like, I'm very receptive and I'm very open to anything that makes sense to me and my value system and my moral compass as a clinician and as a person. So I feel like I'm more open than I've ever been.
Gotcha. So you're really in like a brainstorming phase almost of like,
I
okay,
am.
I know I want to go on the attack. I've just got this new great person hired that's going to give me some capacity to go out and attack. What's the game plan? How are we going to war here? And you're in a position where you're accepting ideas, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm accepting ideas.
Fantastic.
I'm thinking out things kind of outside the box, and just, you know, researching and doing my own research and getting my own ideas of what I could see myself visually doing
Yeah.
within my own practice.
Yeah. I think there's so many opportunities out there. And I guess one question, because I think there is just so much outside the box, right? But there's obviously the fact that you've been running a business inside of the box of your business for the last over a decade, right? So you've learned a lot about what works inside the box. I guess putting a microscope on that a little bit. What are some of the most tedious things that go on with your current process that is leading you to think we maybe need to have an outside the box approach that might be more high value?
For me, it's like it's the wherewithal to understand that I control my own schedule, and I don't have to back clients. If I, you know, it's not healthy to do that. You need a break in between clients. I wasn't doing that. I was just continuously seeing clients back to back every day, and it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary to do that because I was killing myself. You know, I was
Yeah.
I was burning out. And you're not effective as a counselor, as a person, when that starts to happen. So it really took a toll on my mental health.
Yeah.
And I learned from actually my registered intern, who is now licensed, not to do that. So she showed me how to have more balance. And it took her, someone who's newer in the field, to really like, don't grind as hard. You know, there's
Yeah.
no need to grind as hard. There's no need to, you know, be completely unstoppable. You're a human being. You also have emotions.
Yeah.
You can't be, you're not a machine.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some practice what you preach components that are going on in there too, right?
Oh
Like the
my
public,
gosh, I'm the best advice giver, but boy, can I not take my own advice.
which is so, it's like, it's almost oxymoronic, right? Like I'm not saying
Yeah.
that the advice you're giving is wrong. It's just like so funny that it like, and I've actually had this conversation with so many of the coaches that I've talked to, that they also struggle with the same thing. Like, my advice is good. I need to take some of it. It's like, it's impressive that you're able to come up with such good advice and then proceed to like not internalize it for yourself. And I almost think that in a funny way, it comes from a place of realizing what you should be doing, but for whatever reason, it's just, I don't know. It's within the DNA of I think some coaches
It is. I
to
mean,
have that conflict.
yeah, absolutely. I feel that's a blockage. It's an internal blockage going on that you are able to project such good, sound therapeutic skills for other people, but to then turn around and apply them to yourself and have
No
good
way.
communication skills. Yeah, I can't do that.
Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. Well, the good thing is, one, it's an enabler and an accelerator of your ability to continuously provide that service to someone else, right? So from like a utilitarianist perspective, the amount of people that are doing the right thing because of you maybe doing the wrong thing is now better than if you weren't providing your services. So one, it's an enabler of all the good that you've been able to facilitate. And now it's a catalyst for your pivot into, okay, I've been doing the delivery side with so much focus. Now I'm passionate about getting back some of my time to be able to pivot and have a new focus, which is growing the business, which now in turn will be able to provide this, positive messaging to so many more people. So it's at least led you down a great path and into
Well,
the unique
I did, that path even wasn't that path going down that path was not easy to get to. There was a lot of struggle. I think when you get knocked to your knees and there's adversity, going down that path and you have an awakening, literally, is what happened to me. I literally had an awakening that I had to really do things differently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I guess back to the question that I had asked, some of what you said was answering it in a degree, but wanted to dive a little bit deeper. I had asked you about the inside the box, what things were looking like from the business side, right? The thing that you're trying to do more of now, growing the business, doing more outreach, engaging with the client relationship aside from the delivery. Guess I'm curious, like, what some of the really like time consuming parts of building that relationship are, whether it's I don't know, you've got 100 clients and you've got an email list that's never ending, and you need to nurture those people and make sure that they're staying engaged in order to retain them, and that's a time consuming process. Or it's the doing the research to figure out where to be and when, and prioritizing why those things are the most high leverage events. Yeah, just kind of curious what some of those things are that are
Yeah,
particularly.
it's also it's like making sure like after the client gets done with their sessions, you're scheduling them and your calendar is getting booked and you're scheduling, you know, continuously. It's figuring out methodically what events to go to that will improve your skills as a businesswoman and as someone in business in the local area. That takes time. That takes you got to find out where the place is, get the tickets, we sit there and take notes, and and this is specifically for people that are going to the events that are specifically for business owners,
Yeah.
and learning from other people. I am myself just a forever student. I will always be a student. I love to learn. I ask a lot of questions and I want to get into the know. So I don't think any question is a dumb one. So I think it leaves a person feeling inquisitive and wanting to get the education, and figuring out where those opportunities lies takes some research. They don't just come naturally. They don't just pop up. You have to like a little bit dig a little bit, and that's okay. Once you do, you can figure out if that's the right fit for you and where you want to spend your time. And then you spend your time, and when you do, you get the most out of it. You really engage. You really sit into it and take as many notes and listen as carefully and as from someone who's been there before, and just try to grasp as much as you can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and I guess this is where like I think AI really like kind of comes into play, and we've touched on it briefly here and there, but actually most of the conversation's been more business strategy actually so far than AI. But I'm thinking that as you're going to all these events, you're capturing notes, you're managing a lot of relationships, and aggregating all of this research in order to create a prioritized schedule and doing the scheduling. How have you thought about how AI might be able to tap in with that operational process and be able to make you both more efficient and more effective?
I think AI can be used for not so much a clinical. I wouldn't use it for a
No,
clinical aspect.
no,
But I
that's why I
would
listed non-clinical things. I'd never
yeah, I
advise
would
anyone.
definitely yeah, I would definitely refine it to a business aspect. It's just kind of like asking questions with it and seeing what kind of answers come with it in terms of like profit loss margin, how to capitalize on your income, how to have passive streams of revenue. One thing I looked up is how to have passive streams of revenue as a mental health therapist, and it gave me a whole slew of things, of which some of I've done. But it's interesting. Like you just toy with it and kind of like plug in questions to see what kinds of answers come into play. I think it's a good tool to be used if used the right way and for the right reasons. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I guess all valid use cases. And you explained to me during our last session about how you've been able to identify some new ways to make more money and have a more revenue efficient, let's say, model
Yeah.
of your business. And that's super impressive. And I think, you'll continue doing that as you bring in new clients, right? How do I put them on this track that's going to benefit my business more while still providing lots of value to the client? I guess I'm curious, like, one thing that stood out to me as you were explaining, okay, we're doing this research process, then we're going to all these events, we're taking notes at the events. And my guess is synthesizing those notes and thinking about, okay, who are the people that I need to prioritize? What are their needs? How do I set up conversations with those key stakeholders and then manage that relationship and turn it into like clientele, right? Have you
Right.
thought about how, and I'll just start with the high level. Have you thought about how AI can plug into that process yet? And then if not, I'm going to like list some just thoughts that I've had and things I've seen people
Yeah,
execute.
absolutely. Like how one of the things you can do, you can ask is like, how do you get your foot into the door of a municipality, and what are some things that you say to a high level administrator, and just kind of ask like questions that you like. How do you speak? How to what how do you assess needs, like how do you articulate yourself appropriately to somebody who is in these high achieving professional hemispheres. So it's like how to's. I feel for me it's how to's, or like how to do this, how to do that, to get a like a kind of like a game plan in order of a strategy to use when doing an outreach.
Yeah, no, that's definitely for sure one of the key components. There's so much more on the efficacy side and the rapid execution on the back end of it, such as taking, let's say you have 5 contacts and very specific notes on each and points that you would sell to each of those people, but also an understanding of who that person was that you've gone and synthesized. There's a lot of ways to use like a CRM capability that AI has to be able to have a running log. Like imagine you could go on your computer and say, okay, I went to this event, and boom, it pops up all the people that you met, the most important things that they said, each of their needs, and exactly how to go and have that next conversation with them, while also tracking the ability to the scheduling aspect of maintaining and starting that relationship. Like so
Mm.
much is there, and it's really impressive. What is also impressive is that we've burned through 35 minutes and it is now 11:01 and you need to leave. So I'm going to end us on just an opportunity for you to, first of all, thank you for being here, and everyone that watched, thanks for tuning in.
Thank
Michelle,
you for having me.
quickly drop any links that you have that where people can learn more about you, and then I'll let you go because I know you have a call and so do I.
Sure. So my website is www.vecc.associates.com. My email is vecc.associates@gmail.com. I could be found on my website. I could be contacted via email, via website. There's certain ways to contact me. You probably will get in contact with my virtual assistant Jamie, and she will then reach out back out to me. So I do have a website and an email address.
Fantastic, and thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
If today's conversation resonated with you and you're looking to learn how business leaders are driving value using AI, make sure to hit subscribe. Feel free to check out our other episodes, and I've also left my LinkedIn in the description below, so you're welcome to connect, and I will see you next time.